We are investigating a little-known crime and punishment program run by Lee County workers.
Critics say they appear to create their own rules, and we're challenging them on that. In a Wink News exclusive investigation, Celine MacArthur takes you inside what's called the Neighborhood Accountability Board.
We're forcing the door open and shining a light on this Lee County program so you can see how it works. The Neighborhood Accountability Board is made up of county workers and community volunteers empowered to punish your kids if they get in trouble with the law. County leaders refused to talk to me about it and did not want me in a recent hearing. A county worker even announced on Facebook this meeting was going to happen without media and without an attorney present. But when the county checked with the state attorney's office, they learned they couldn't keep us out. Local criminal defense attorney Brian Edwards describes it as a diversion program usually offered to kids in lieu of a trial, not after one.
I've never had anybody sentenced essentially to diversion after a trial.
Daniel Marquez, the boy arrested, perp walked and locked up and then tried for sending a threatening text when he was 10, was court ordered to go before the NAB as part of his probation. If he does what he's told, his guilty verdict, currently on hold, could go away. The county claims what you're about to see is restorative justice. The Marquez family says if that's the case, who was helped? A group of 5 people seated around a table, their backs to our camera. 3 are public employees. Lee County's Director of Human and Veteran Services, Roger Mercado, and Youth Services Coordinator, Nora Donato Hitchcock, along with Probation Officer Stephanie Wise. The community members who chose to volunteer for Daniel's session are Bethany Quisenberry and Danielle Clark. They're joined by Daniel Marquez, his father Derek, and brother Jonathan.
We're just here to talk about what happened.
For 40 minutes, the panel fired off questions about what led up to Daniel's arrest.
It's really important that we tell the truth.
The questioning, similar to what the boy faced at trial.
The firearm, that was the punchline?
No, it was that I scammed someone.
What were you thinking when you sent the Google image of the gun?
Were you texting him a lot? Was it unusual that he wouldn't answer?
You mentioned that you were in the military, you have access to guns, so do you have guns in the home? Did you hear anything in school about the recent shootings or anything like that?
Do they do fingerprints and that kind of stuff and ask you questions? Or
my impression was that it was an interrogation.
The panel then wanted to discuss the harm done to everyone involved. The friend Daniel sent the text to and his family, Daniel and his family, and the community. By definition, it's a fundamental principle of restorative justice, which brings those affected together and encourages accountability. But community impact was not explored in the meeting, and Daniel's friend and his father did not show up or submit an impact statement for group discussion, which they didn't have to.
Did the perp walk? What's the reaction to that been? Because he is 10 years old.
It's simple for me. I'm going to do it every single time.
The panel also did not want to talk through what the Marquez family said harmed them the most. Sheriff Carmine Marcino's social media campaign, which drove them to defend themselves in court, and the court of public opinion.
It's created mental distress with PTSD, and they just stared blankly and then changed the subject.
the experience you had created some challenges for you guys. What we want to make sure that we do is compartmentalize, because everything that happened outside of this room has nothing to do with us talking to Daniel.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, to tell an 11-year-old child who was 10 at the time to compartmentalize.
That's Hilton Napoleon, Daniel's attorney for his appeal. He says if the NAB really wanted to address the harm, Sheriff Marcino should have participated in the meeting.
The fact that he has gone out and perp walked an 11-year-old child, he doesn't want to have to answer that, because he knows what he did is wrong. If he really believed that what he did was right, he would be the first person to get in front of a camera and talk about it. He's not camera shy by any stretch of the imagination.
Napoleon's also challenging the board's endgame.
It's almost like a redo of the trial to get him to admit something that maybe the prosecutor forgot to ask him during questioning. And this is not a second bite at the apple.
In the end, Mercado and Donato Hitchcock came up with what they call the case plan or punishment for Daniel. A conversation with a local felon-turned-activist, a meeting with a law enforcement officer to discuss proper social media use, and a career aptitude test for the 11-year-old boy.
So is that something you think you'd be willing to do? Just to kind of help you figure out your future a little bit?
To give him a personality test that would help him determine a career at this point in his life makes no sense.
That's not restoring anything. That's not helping anyone. It's not helping anyone in the state of Florida.
Sandra Pavelka is a professor and director of the Institute for Youth and Justice Studies at FGCU and an international expert in restorative justice.
I have made it my life's work.
Pavelka's not involved in Daniel's case, so I gave her the rundown of what happened in the meeting.
Well, it's not a true restorative process.
Because no harm was repaired and no lessons learned.
It's really important to include those three areas: the community, the victim/survivor, and those parties who were involved. So hopefully with your story, you'll be able to address that and really point those out.
Mercado, who oversees the program, will not offer any explanation for what we witnessed. Jeffrey Myers retired as deputy chief of Fort Myers PD 2 months ago. He was not involved in Daniel's case, but says our investigation is changing how the justice system operates in Lee County.
It's absolutely making a difference. I can tell you here in Lee County, with judges, with people at the SAO office, with law enforcement, with probation, everybody's talking about what should we do should this happen again.
Investigative reporter Celine MacArthur, Wink News.
Well, there is training in restorative justice. There's no certification required to run this program. The county tells us 764 children have gone before the NAB from August of 2018 through July of last year. We reached out to the Lee County Sheriff's Office to talk with Sheriff Marcino. So far, no response. You can see Celine's entire investigation on winknews.com.